Beautiful. It's a bright, sunshiny day. Yes, we claim that. And we claim it today. Our guest speaker today is Dale Allen Hoffman. So I pulled a little something off of his website. If you haven't seen him, you're in for a treat, I do believe.
You sound unsure of that.
Depends on your level of consciousness. Let me read a little bit about Dale from his website. Dale Allen Hoffman. His work awakens the profound transformational qualities of consciously intoned ancient and indigenous sounds, tones, and languages on activating states of deep presence and sound healing. It's got some mouthful sentences, I'll tell you that. Dale's focus is not simply on words or language, but rather on the Gnostic experiential core of how to consciously live a rich, mystical life from the inside out. Don't you just want to do that? And this is what I'm going to end. Well, maybe I'll end with this. Dale is I didn't know this. He's the only soul on earth, so it says in his bio. Dale is the only soul on earth.
The only soul on earth. That's it. Period. Sharing a living, breathing vision of the direct, practical application of the original pre-Christian Aramaic Yeshua
and Isis Mary Magdalene teachings from the biblical, Gnostic, and ancient mystery school philosophies as one unified whole. Anyway, that's just some of it. There's more. But the more part of it is Dale himself, and to experience his brilliance, and he is brilliant. He's been here many times. It's been a year. I cannot believe it's been a year. But he's here because he loves us so much. He just said before service started that he's not even doing spiritual centers, but we're special. So he loves us, and he feels like we're family, so we feel like he is our brother. Welcome, Brother Dale.
Wow, those are big sentences.
Yeah, they really are.
See, my wife wasn't in the room when you said I was the only soul on earth. She'd probably go. Yeah, well, things are different for me. See, the last time we were here, it's been a year, and you've got the Death Star going up next door. Wow, what's with that? Let's call it the Life Star. Change it. But what our focus was last year, it looked like we were going to go to completely move lock, stock, and barrel, family and all, to Europe, because most of my following is actually in Europe, South Africa, Australia, places outside the U.S. And then when we started crunching all the numbers, it was like, okay, we'll put that off for a year. It was pretty exorbitantly insane. We are going to Ireland in a couple of months and starting to do more over there, though. But one thing I've done for 10 years is I've been traveling to all these New Thought centers, Center for Spiritual Living, Unity churches, and full-time away from my family, and it's over. This is the last year that I've done that. We're going to still hit places, but it's not going to be the way it used to be, where every Sunday I'm in a different place, or 3 or 4 in a row, or 2 weeks out, or anything like that. I started mentoring, bringing in participants into a mentoring program where I can take them deeper, because it's like, you do all these 2-hour things, and you're 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, and you got to kind of go back to square one, and you got to kind of skate over the surface, and you can't go too deep, too fast, because people go, I have no clue what he's talking about, which happens anyway. But I just had this yearning to go deeper, and there's been such a huge shift. Well, the whole world is so different than it was 10 years ago, but just put it out there. I mean, it's been interesting for me being sort of behind the curtain at so many of these different New Thought centers. There's certain places, there's only really, most of the places I went to that I used to be so excited by, I'm not so excited to go back to the last few years, because they felt like they were kind of faltering and dragging. The excitement's still here, which is awesome. There's certain places where it looks like New Thoughts become old thought. And it's like there's this clinging to these 100-year-old philosophies and what other people say, and there's no, the reading that Patty did from the Science of Mind text was like so completely on with what this is about today, like what I'm sharing. But we're going to be doing, we're literally in the foundation stages of a full-blown online school of ancient Gnosticism. But the frustration I've always felt in Gnosticism was that people can't get past the myth. They can't get past the mythology. They can't get past the stories. And then if you go to learn with a Gnostic master, they can tell you the stories. They can tell you about the mythologies, and they don't have a clue what any of it means. So we're looking to go deeper with that. We're going deeper into sound healing. The next time we're here, we'll have something with us called the Pyridime, which was an instrument, an analog tone generating instrument designed by one of our best friends, a guy named August Worley. August is a legend in the music industry for co-creating something called the Mini Moog Voyager with Bob Moog, who, anybody's ever heard Nights in White Satin?
Yeah.
Blues?
Sure.
There's no live instruments on that. It's all a Moog synthesizer. Well, the guy that created that worked one-on-one with August to create the biggest selling analog synth of all time. And August created this amazing instrument called the Pyridime. And what it is, can you actually do me a favor in the hard case in the little pocket in the back? It's this, it's a pyramid that is in an exact one, I can't remember what the degree is, of the Great Pyramid at Giza, within 1/1000th of a degree in terms of its geometry. And analog tones are actually fed through crystal and different kinds of things. There's actually a crystal at the top that changes along with the vibration that's coming through it. And it can create up to several frequencies at once. And with all these breathwork events, I'll just pass the card around so you can see what I'm actually talking about. Loretta and I have been doing these, I've been doing breathwork events for 23 years, but when we started bringing August's Pyridime in, that creates tones that I can't even describe to you. The amazing thing is, after all these years of us trying to change our thoughts, change our life, which was nice, you know, there's issues with that. Your thoughts are one nanogazillionth of a degree, can only perceive one tiny, teeny, tiny sliver of cosmic consciousness of the whole. And one of the things I've been saying for 20 years, and I've been a bit more vocal about it lately, is don't believe what you think, because there's not a single thing that you think that's real. That's not what's real. What is real is what's thinking. When you look in the mirror and you're trying to change your perception of what you see, that's not even what's real. What's real is what's seeing. And we put so much reliance on our eyes, and we put so much reliance on what we're thinking. And we created these nice, cute little lists of our divine purpose in life and our 10 core values. And then in the last few years, you may have noticed there's been some cosmic shifts. And the cosmos are watching us. Oh, look at that, those cute little 10 core values. Wait a second. And have blown it all to bits and splinters on the floor, because we were out there trying to create the perfect life by what we think. We were trying to create the perfect life, not realizing that the parameters we can even perceive are so tiny, rather than allowing ourselves to simply be an open vessel so that life can create perfectly through us. It's the main thing I see most people mangle in Ernest Holmes' teachings. They think that he was talking about making a perfect world, but that's not what Ernest Holmes was saying. He was saying, you already are that. And when you realize that, that emanates naturally from you. But for a long time, the spiritual book publishing industry has been telling us that if you change your thoughts, you're going to change your life. It's a funny thing, because you start working on the level of thought, and it works for a while, and you get that rush. And then all of a sudden, you realize your thoughts are more scattered than you ever thought they were. You got to understand that beyond anything that you've ever thought in your life, there's this place that, actually Krishnamurti called it total listening. There's a place where every thought that you've ever had, every experience, every thing that you've ever created, every moment of pleasure or joy or ecstasy or pain or sorrow and suffering, within all of that, there's this silent space. And that's really who you are. You ever wonder why silence scares the hell out of us so much? Is it because there's nothing there? It's exactly the perfect opposite of that. The reason the silence is is because it's everything. It's so whole and it's so full and it's completely undivided that we can't even perceive it. And what we think is that we're going back into the silence to let go of the world. But I'm going to tell you right now, this ain't real anyway. This is a dream. Changing your thoughts will not change your life because you are life itself. Changing your thoughts will just change the movie you're watching on the screen. And there is value in that. But you're not the movie that's playing on the screen. You're also not the film strip and the projector, which is what you think. You've never been what you think. As a man thinketh, so is he? Nope. You've never been that. Because what you think is not real, and it's based on faulty information. What's real is the light in the projector. But there's no screen, no movie, there's no film strip, thought's not real, and there's no projector, there's only that which sees. And we put so much reliance on these. Like as an example, a few weeks ago, presidential election, you wake up the next morning, and you knew who's going to be elected, and then the news is on, and you're on the far side of the house, and you heard who was elected, and you went, what was the first thing you did? When you hear something that's like a little overwhelming, what do you do if it happened on television?
I'm silent.
You turn and you look at it. You look at it. Does anybody realize that the eye, the human eye, can only perceive 1 octave of frequency range, of bandwidth? The ear can perceive over 10 octaves of frequency range. If the eye were to be altered to be able to perceive the frequency range that the ear can perceive, you would instantaneously go blind because it can't hack it. Just like the silence. If you go to the silence, if you could actually perceive the one, you would no longer exist.
Right.
You can't know God. Because if you know God, there's you plus that which you know. God's not 2, though. God's 1. Sometimes I'll get messages from people around the world that say, which God is it that you're serving? It was like, if you can talk about multiple gods, you don't understand the question anyway. It's not about mythology. It's not about Zeus. It's not about Jesus, little Zeus, hail Zeus. It's not about any of that. It's about the realization that the only thing that's real is the one, but you can't perceive the one. You can only be the one because you are that. And we spend so much time using our eyes to perceive. We don't even realize how out of tune we have become. Like, we've got this structure going up next door, intriguingly. Interesting, it's big. A lot of people don't even realize that the sacred geometry of buildings going back hundreds or thousands of years. Let's give an example of that. The Taj Mahal, the Chartreuse Cathedral, there's different, the Great Pyramid at Giza. All these structures, as an example, those 3 structures in particular, were in tune with something called an Earth Day. An Earth Day is 1 rotation of the Earth. It's 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4 seconds, which is 86,164 seconds or something like that. But intriguingly, if you take that frequency and transpose it up exactly 12 octaves, you get a particular color. And that particular color you get is the orange-red of a monk's robe. Interesting. All these different cultures across the earth that have that holy orange-red color is exactly 65 octaves above the frequency of 1 rotation of the earth, exactly. If you go up 1 more octave, 66 octaves up from 1 rotation of the earth, from that frequency, you get the exact vibration of human deoxyribonucleic acid, human DNA. An exact octavized, it's called octavizing, transposition of 1 rotation of the earth. And they would actually create buildings and build buildings within the parameters of these frequencies. And they would often say, don't change anything in the architecture. These ancient builders, don't change anything in the architecture because you'll change the song, you'll change the music. Such as your horoscope. Everybody's, sort of, a lot of people are into the horoscope thing in astrology. Every one of the planets has a rotational voice. It has what would be called, we have a moon day, or a moon tone, which is basically a month. We've got the sun year, which also has a particular frequency. And each of the planets and all these celestial bodies have particular frequencies to them. You can actually create songs and music and basically orchestras out of the voice of your astrological chart. All these things that we're constantly trying to think. We're trying to think our way through things that your thoughts can't touch. It's something that has to be felt. And I've said this here before, and it pushes people because of the way you've been indoctrinated and conditioned. People think that your thoughts create. Thoughts have absolutely no creative power whatsoever. The ancients said that. What creates is what you feel. Now, when I say feel, I'm not saying emotion. Motus anima, which means energy and motion in Latin. I'm not talking about your emotions. I'm talking about feeling, which is the sensation of frequency. People talk a lot about what it means to be spiritual. That word spirit, spiritus, in Latin, or rucha in Aramaic, ruach in Hebrew, ruch in Arabic. That word spirit actually means frequency or vibration. And it's not just spirit. It is, as an example, you want to know what it is to be spiritual? Just be aware of your breath right now. It means frequency or vibration. Be aware of the sounds in the room. Close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart. Be aware of the beat of your heart. Heartbeat is the word rucha, frequency or vibration. Be aware of the movement of any air across your skin. The word wind or air movement is the word rucha, frequency, vibration. You can open your eyes. How many people have ever actually gone out at night, looked up at the cosmos, at the stars, took a really deep breath, and then closed your eyes and tried to listen to the cosmos? Mm-hmm. And then as your eyes are closed, that's the total listening that Krishnamurti was talking about. There's a funny thing about our eyesight, because our eye makes stuff up. It fills in gaps that aren't there. Anybody ever been around when there's a car accident and the insurance adjuster or the police come and there's 10 people and you wonder if anybody was actually there at the same time? So you want to believe what that's telling you? Or history. It wasn't until the mid-90s that I realized that what was in my American history books in grammar school, elementary school, junior high, and high school wasn't even American history. It was junk that came out of newspapers that just happened to be what was written about that day, especially the Indian Wars in the second half of the 19th century. Most of that stuff that was in the history books until the mid to late 90s never actually happened. Reporters were making it up. And we were learning it as our history. That wasn't recalibrated until the end of the last century, that they started recalibrating that and bringing something more accurate in. People talk about, as an example, God's Word. Trust me, anybody that has seen me more than a few times knows I'm sort of I can be a pincushion for a lot of people that say that I'm blaspheming God's Word. And it's a funny thing, because when I hear that from people, the best thing I can say with an open heart is, bless your heart, because I live in the South now. Bless your heart. You don't even know what the word God means, and you don't know what the word word means. Because the word word, if there's anything it doesn't mean, logos in Greek, milta in Aramaic, if there's anything that word doesn't mean, it's word. I can guarantee you that. Word in Aramaic is mela. Word in Greek would be lexis or lego, not logos. You know what milta or logos actually mean? Frequency or vibration. We're trying to think our way to a perfect life when it's already here, and if there's anything we should be learning to do, it's to just be aware of the cosmic vibration. Your teeth are an antenna for the cosmic vibration. Your skeletal system, your ears, the hair on your skin, really subtle energies. There's hairs in here in your ears. Your mouth and your vocal cords are directly connected to your inner ear. The most delicate membrane in your body is your inner ear. Interesting. Anybody know what the first cell of a fetus is that's first born? What's the first thing that's created? Heart cell. Anybody know what grows out of the heart? What the first thing is to grow out of the heart? Your tongue. And then the next thing is your ears. Because the vibrations that you exude and or speak and those that you perceive are directly connected to the beating of your heart. And when you're obsessed about what you're thinking, which is not what is real, you're obsessing about a movie on the screen that's not there anyway. It's nothing but a hologram. You can't rely on what you're thinking. Anybody ever tried that, hammering around what you're thinking? Hanging stuff all over the room? Change my thoughts? And if you've ever met someone who's known for that sort of, let's say that there's some kind of a challenging situation and someone just lost their partner or something. And if you're around those people that don't allow them to think certain thoughts, allow themselves to, the first thing they do is, oh, well, we're not going to acknowledge that. Roses and sunshine. And you probably had a sacred contract before you came here and that she was going to die at exactly this day. So what you need to do is just buck up, think positive thoughts, and move on, my friend. You know what's a funny thing? When those moments happen, your breath is not moving, you're not aware of frequency and vibration in your life, you create a frequency pattern that locks into your energy body. That frequency pattern, in ancient times, was called, in Greek it was called daimonia. In Aramaic it was called shadain. The word demon. What that means is a repressed, unexpressed frequency pattern. It's not necessarily a thought, it's not necessarily a memory, it's an expression of frequencies such as, we've had these beautiful, angelic, new agey vibes in the world for 20 years. We're able to walk around with canaries above our head. I'm not talking about anything negative. You know what's a funny thing about that? You know what the negative is? It's the feminine. It's the shadow.
We preach now.
It's that, it's that which is in the silence around the corner. The stuff that's not able to be held in the hand. The men told us 2,000 years ago, after the great swing from the great goddess energy of the earth to that masculine world that we live in now, it was the men that told you, don't show too much skin. Don't rely on those things that you're feeling that you can't completely understand. If I can't hold it in my hand, it's not real. And what that did was it shut part of humanity down. It shut down a whole set of frequencies that were pushed out of our awareness. Like as an example, Elaine Pagels, rock star scholar, she says, what greater way to silence the divine feminine than to call Mary Magdalene a slut? Because when you can do that, you push her off the table and you don't have to talk about her anymore. And you can talk about her 7 demons. When in Aramaic it says Shadain Shabea, or Shabea Shadain Apek, that Yeshua stimulated the movement of her 7 repressed or unopened energy centers. And of course, they have almost 4 dozen versions in the Roman Catholic Church alone of the 7 deadly sins, 7 vices, which are all made up. What it said in the original Gospel of Mary Magdalene, written in Syriac Aramaic, she called those 7 centers darkness, desire, ignorance, the exhilaration of death, the foolish words of the realm, the foolish wisdom of the flesh, and hostility or wrathful wisdom. It was the 7 chakras shut down, not voicing them openly. But when we're talking about subtle energies, it's harder to sell that. It's harder to put it across to people unless you can get it hammered down. But here's the thing. We've had thousands of years of men controlling this thing. And today, as an example, my waddle, it goes kind of like this. So I don't know how I mixed, well, I'm probably thinking about my wife walking, but my wife's a model. And my wife model waddle, she's been a model for many years. And it's an amazing thing because if everybody's going to start following her on Facebook now, but if there's a photo of hers that shows a little too much, occasionally she'll get a message saying, is that right? Should be showing that much. It's a funny thing, I can put a photograph of the 2 of us next to each other, which is an experiment to do, and I can be totally topless, that's okay, but if she does, it's shameful. And then women will actually send messages, are you sure you should be showing that much? Does anybody know where that thought even came from? Came from men. Men called misogynists. The men that wrote much of the Bible, that wrote it down, that organized and formed the religion. So now you've got women today covered up on the extremities of these different religions. You know why? Because then men don't have to process or feel whatever's in their system. They can blame it on the woman, stifle the catalyst, that stays shut down, and we can walk blindly into the next generation, completely unaware of what we're doing. But what more beautiful self-balancing system could there be than after thousands of years of masculine misogyny, of focus on words on the page that you translate it from not even language to language, but one person to another, you'll lose the meaning. Focus on all of this external masculine projection stuff. What more beautiful self-balancing system could there be than after thousands of years of that finds a way to bring more feminine essence through masculine humans and more masculine essence through feminine humans, so that hopefully if you're mature enough and awake enough, you can realize that masculine and feminine has nothing to do with innies and outies. It has to do with essence and energy and awareness. And something that's felt. We were literally put here right now for a purpose, and it's not a purpose you can think. Let me explain that to you. People are always saying everything has a purpose, which is usually just an out. It's a good excuse for you to pull the plug out of the wall. Well, everything's got a purpose. That he died in a blinding fire or whatever. Yeah, everything does have a purpose, but that doesn't mean your thoughts can comprehend it. We were here to create a new earth. You know, there's that phrase, on earth as it is in heaven, it's in the Lord's Prayer. You know what that means? Is that it's not my thoughts creating the world around me, but that I allow myself to be open, let go of that need to control something, and realize that if I can simply allow myself to be an open vessel, that life lives perfectly and holistically through me. And when we can get our own expertise out of the way, then we can finally realize this new earth. There was someone that posted something on Facebook, if you've heard that. Facebook, it's this thing on the internet. It was like a week ago, and it was everybody's, this guy's like everywhere lately. He's like a hippie looking dude, he's like spiritual, he's got sort of reddish hair, and he's doing like this new agey thing. Everybody's looking at me like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. So maybe he's not everywhere.
What's his name?
I don't know his name. He's got a YouTube.
JD something?
I think that might be it. He's got a YouTube channel. But somebody posted this great meme, and the meme said, I guess I'm paraphrasing, it said that when other people want a lot, they're greedy, but when I want a lot, I'm spiritual.
Yes.
And I went, ooh. And I liked it. And then I went, wait a second, I unliked it. I'm like, is this guy that posted it for it or against it? Because to me, I was laughing at it. Oh my God, this is awesome. And then I put ha-ha, and I went, okay, unlike that, un-ha-ha it. I'm like, he's got to be for it. So I pushed love, and I went, and I'm like, you know, I'm really not sure. So I clicked on it, and I went to the page that it came from, which took me to the guy's YouTube channel. And there was all these videos. I'm like, okay, I don't have time for that. So I just went back and unliked it, and I was like, I guess I'll figure it out eventually. I think it was a joke, actually. I think it's a funny thing that I've seen out there on the road for so long. People get into pure avarice, absolute greed of everything, and everything is an unlimited resource, and all this other kind of stuff. And then they market that as spirituality. Our kids aren't going to tolerate this. The teenagers won't tolerate it. They're not going to take this, we're not going to take it anymore. They're not going to take it anymore. They're not going to allow this, because what's happening is when I speak at music festivals now, it's like wide open and unfiltered, and they're coming up to me and saying, just give it to us 100% unfiltered, wide open. Just give it to us as it is. Don't candy coat it. You don't need to, saran wrap our philosophy. Just kind of drop it in our lap and let us figure it out. Because you know what? There's no roadmap for this, because the map is not the terrain. We spent thousands of years eating the menus that have been served to us by religion, by the economist, by the government, by the churches, and we never got to the meal. And now a lot of people are sitting here going, wait a second, we said this was the new earth, but it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like pure chaos. But the reason it looks like pure chaos is because all these things that we weren't shown how to process are all of a sudden voicing. And we had that beautiful, new agey sort of honeymoon for the last 20 years. And then with the same frequencies now, all of a sudden we asked for a greater awareness, higher light, faster vibration, wider bandwidth. And now even with those same frequencies, it's like when the orchestra is tuning up, it's not that important if the string section's a few cents off from each other. Doesn't really matter. But when the amplitude increases and it starts getting a little bit louder, and then all of a sudden those same frequencies that you loved at a lower amplitude are all of a sudden, welcome to today. All these frequencies that have been there the whole time are sounding wide open because everything's moving faster, because everything's louder, because that's what we asked for. But because we weren't acknowledging those parts of the system, the feminine, the part that's quiet around the corner, the little things that are behind the doors that you were told not to look in, all of a sudden the feminine's everywhere, and men are scared stuffless. It's a Sunday morning. I don't have to say it now. I think I went far enough for people to realize. Stuffingness. Right, that was a real messed up one. Think about it. And you look, and it looks like everything's falling apart, but nothing real is falling apart. What's falling apart is the movie, but the movie was never real in the first place. What's real is that cosmic vibration, that awareness, that light that sees through you. And your thoughts can't touch that. Your thoughts can't understand that in any way, shape, or form because they can only perceive this little tiny sliver of the frequencies that are manifest. Either you are that or you're not. You want a way to awaken the whole thing and open that spiritual life? Just go like this, and I've said it every time I've been here. Was there in all the Jesus teachings? And then that word breath was turned into spirit, and it became this inanimate thing that we don't understand. If you can just allow yourself to be aware of the rise and fall of your own breath. Because as things continue to increase and it continues to open and open and open, all of those frequencies in the system that you couldn't hear, all of a sudden now, they're all sounding wide open. And it's all over our faces. People feel a little at edge lately. You don't have to put your hands up. Anybody felt suicidal thoughts in the last year that you hadn't felt in a long time? Or people that you thought were really balanced and wide open and awake and spiritual in their life? And then you look at like different things that are going on for them and you wonder if maybe they've had the thought in the last couple of days to drive their car into a tree. The rubber has hit the road. It's time to leave the classroom. Allow your energy body to be open and do what you were put here to do, which is to be an open vessel of the infinite. That's what the word Christos was in Greek. It means open channel of divinity. There was a word in Egyptian for that too. It was called Ra. Ra was represented by Horus, which when it was, that mythology was transposed into Greek, which it was, 87 to 92% of the Jesus story is ancient Egyptian mythology and Akkadian and Phoenician and Sumerian. When that was brought into Greek, Horus became Christos, or became Jesus. Jesus, little Zeus, hail Zeus. Nice. And then it was exemplified by Christ. And what Christ means is when you're able to be that open channel of divinity between nowhere and now here, between the past and the future, awake, asleep, alive, and dead, masculine and feminine. Because masculine and feminine are not two different energies in relationship. It's one singularity or continuum. If you've got a battery, you're not going to find a place where it changes from negative to positive. It doesn't exist because it's not two different energies. Just like masculine and feminine, and everything's becoming androgynous now. Who were the two biggest icons we lost this year? David Bowie and Prince. You put right behind them Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. You've got somebody who stood by a religion that we're being told is one thing that in truth is nothing like what we're being told through the media. We're being told it's terrorism. You know what Islam's doing about Christianity and Judaism? Telling everybody that's terrorism. Three sides of the same coin. Doesn't matter what you think anymore. Your thoughts will not save you. They're cute. It's cute to change your thoughts and change your life. It will never be about what you think. It's about what you feel. which is the sensation of frequency. And if you can allow your feelings to be open and informed by that cosmic light, then your thoughts will naturally recalibrate themselves. It does not work in reverse. Your thoughts are crystallized feelings, which is the sensation of vibration and frequency. And there was an amazing thing in that Science of Mind reading about you don't need to perceive or rationally understand what's going on, because your thoughts can't touch that. If you just allow yourself to be open, everything will be fine. We'll get through this. We're going to lose a few, but things are going to become recalibrated, and we'll finally realize that new earth that's already right here trying to live through us, if we could just get the heck out of the way, get our stupid thought systems out of the way. You can't depend on what you think. So just one thing, forget everything I said, remember this. And from St. Francis, what you are looking for is what is looking. You already are that. You don't need to create it. That's you. That's it. This afternoon at what time? It's 12:30?
12:30.
We're going to do an event, a Winter Solstice Awakening, Birthing the Cosmic Christ. It's the toning and everything that we love to do with the buffalo hoop drum, the crystal bowl, etc. And it's going to be focused in on the themes of the season. We'll talk a little bit about solstice and how there's, we do a bit of talking there, at least in the beginning,